It's that time of year again. Home for the holidays. Time for spades, red cups, sweet teas, and spiked lemonades. Walk up food looking like it's on a buffet. Let's get it. Hey, let's get it. We got food, got love, got cheer. It's my favorite time of the year. All year, can't wait to see ya. A celebration every time that we wake up. No matter if you're Christian or you're Muslim or you're Jewish. When it comes to loving on your fam, yeah, you do it. Cause it's the holidays. So love the day, yeah. Hey. Over mama house singing all the Christmas songs. That time of year. Walk in, yeah, showing all my cousins love. That time of year. Uncle Mike passed down on the couch again. That time. For the weather outside is frightful. The crank is so delightful. All the kids are so excited to see all the gifts and presents under the tree. Celebrate with you and me, family. Lots and cheers that time of year. Everybody come together. On the table, potato salad and a turkey wing. That time. And the yams looking good with the collard greens. That time. Hit the stash and you know we doing anything. That time.
It's the best time of the year for me. When I get a chance to be around my family tree, I get a spark in my heart with my family around. Yeah. Send me a text when you coming into town. Can't wait to see my cuz, you know how we do. Cooking on the grill when the snow set the mood. Break the summer to the winter for the fam. How we doing? What's been up, nothing new, man. I ain't seen you in the blue. We out here spreading love for show. Black Friday up early, waiting at the stove like the old show. You get it, oh. It's all about love and that's the #1 goal. It's something pure and I'm pretty sure that I ain't got a dime left, but I got gifts for you. Come closer, you got something for me. Then it's New Year's and you count down with me. Hey.
Over mama house singing all the Christmas songs. That time of year. Walk in, yeah, showing all my cousins love. That time of year. Uncle Mike passed down on the couch again. That time. Hey, let the beat ride, please. Oh. Hey, well if you spread love, you get love. Happy holidays to ya. The loved ones that we lost, you know that we love you. Always and forever, forever, ever. Well if you spread love, you get love. Happy holidays to ya. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Yeah. Man, let me tell y'all something. Ain't nothing like that holiday cook talking about. Man, I remember when grandma, man, mama, it was so up, man, we come through that potato salad, my child. Man, that stuffing, turkey wings, candy yams, macaroni and cheese. Man, oh my God. Man, when then you come through with the cabbage and look, their mama come through with the rolls that she been preparing since November, potato salad. And pound cakes, man, for a little butter, tastes like butter. I swear to God, I'm so much glad I do it. Family, ain't nothing like family, y'all. Ain't nothing like family. Keep it love. Keep it love. One more time. Here we go. Family tear. Family time. Hey.
Welcome to a new edition of WIN TV, Washington Informer News. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, and I'm so glad you were able to join us today. You know, I want to thank that great video that was shared with us. It's called The Time of Year by Sirius Company. And it's from I Hear Your Records, the record label of Washington Informer friend and legendary promoter and manager and record executive, Daryl Brooks. You know, Daryl's a household name, and we're so glad he shared that with us. He's co-owner of CD Enterprises. And so, you know, when you look at that and you see just all the folks together around all that great food, boy, does it bring back memories. And unfortunately, our Christmas won't look like that this year. But doesn't it give us so much to look forward to when next year we can have the whole family around the table? I think we're going to be working it out. And I'm making a prediction. It will be next year. Okay, folks? So, yeah, looking forward to that. And we hope that you enjoyed that video, and you'll hear more of it next Friday during our holiday special. We are going to come to you on Christmas Day. We won't be live, but we do have an exciting program planned for you. So we hope to see you then, and we're going to hear some more from them. And we know that you could be doing something else right now, but what's most important to us is that you decided to join us in today's broadcast. And you know what? It's official. We now have our own WIN TV mug. And for those who are guests, of course, we'll all get one of these mugs. But if you want to get a WIN TV mug, just email us at win-tv at washingtoninformer.com. Again, win-tv at washingtoninformer.com. And yes, I got some coffee in here because I needed it this morning. But anyway, we have a great lineup today. We'll be talking to Director of the DC Department of Housing and Community Development, Polly Donaldson. We're so excited. She has some really good news, some useful news for our community. And we want to make sure that not only do you hear it, but that you'll also share it with those who need to know it. And then we have the Executive Director of DC Action for Kids, Kim Perry, who will be talking to us about the new Kid Watch report that's coming out and what's happening with our children in the nation's capital. In addition to that, we have Wanda Lockridge, founder and chairwoman of the William O. Lockridge Community Foundation, who will be presenting their annual Dancing with the Scholars in a couple of days. It's always a really fun event and a great fundraiser for young people who are attending schools, Ward 8 schools, who get a chance to travel and get scholarships and all that. So we're glad she'll be with us. And Vivian Walker, founder of the Black Santa Director, and Dr. Jihan Woods is the founder of Find Black Santa. They're here with us today, and perhaps, just perhaps, we might be joined by Santa before the show ends. So we're going to have a great time. And for those sweeties out there, people just love sweets, we have 3 bakers from Prince George's County: Lesa Wood of Sweet Crumbsnatchers Bakery, and cousins Sandy Barnes and Deborah Johnson of Sugarcane Confections Company. And they're going to excite us with all of the sugar lovers with these fabulous desserts that they create for your household, and that even if you may not have the whole family around the table, you can have a whole lot of their sweets around the table. So stay tuned for that. But first, again, I always like to show you the Washington Informer, this week's issue, and I think Chevy's going to put one up. I always want to say thank you to our fearless producer, Chevy Lassiter, who helps to pull this program together. And so if you haven't picked up a copy of the Informer, please do so. You know, you can read us online at washingtoninformer.com and see what is the latest news we had this week. We've been doing some experimenting with the cover of the newspaper. And I know some of you all have noticed that it looks like we've gone from a straight newspaper look to sort of a more magazine-y look. And we're still trying to figure this thing out. It's an experiment. So if you have some feedback or comments, I say positive or constructive, we certainly would like to hear from you. And you can send those comments to WIN-TV at washingtoninformer.com. We want to hear from you. So You know, mistrust is something that we are all talking about this week as it relates to the African American community and the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine, which was approved just last week by the FDA, has been administered to frontline workers at George Washington University Hospital, Howard University Hospital, and at Kaiser Permanente. And today, we even have a reporter out there covering the shots that are being given at United Medical Center over here where we're located in Southeast DC. So we'll be hearing more about that. Also, the Electoral College officially stamped Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as president-elect and vice president-elect. There have been some interesting movement as it relates to the inauguration. We realize now it's not going to be the big event we're accustomed to, but we'll hear some more about that as we move along. And then locally, and in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote, women served as the 3 electors from the District of Columbia, each casting their vote Monday afternoon for Biden and Harris. We think it's over. But there's somebody who says it ain't over, and that is none other than current President Donald Trump. He is still trying to figure out how to maneuver this election in his favor, and to this date, he has not conceded, although others within the Republican Party and within even the administration are saying thank you and farewell. In other COVID news, DC residents and their workers are in a crisis and hoping a COVID-19 relief bill will help them stay afloat. We all hope that they will stay afloat. Some of these restaurant owners are our family members, our friends. They hire our family members and friends. And so we certainly want to support them in any way that we can. But I know that any support that they get from government, they will need and will be helpful to them. So lastly, it's always something that I have to remind us of. Please wash your hands. Please wear your mask. Stay home as much as possible, and keep practicing social distancing. Those are the key elements that will be needed, even if you get the vaccine, that will be needed in order to make our community safe and to get us beyond this pandemic and hopefully in some way back to life as we know it. We're going to jump to Hamil Harris, our reporter here at the Washington Informer, who's going to give us more news. I'll be back in a minute.
The first winter storm of 2020 blanketed the D.C. area Wednesday morning, but brought more rain than snow later in the day. If you were headed to work Wednesday morning, you would have noticed quite a few accidents because of the snow. President Joe Biden has picked Michael Regan, a black man, to lead the Environmental Protection Agency, continuing to honor his campaign pledge for a diverse staff and cabinet. Regan will be the first African American to lead the EPA. Meanwhile, a federal judge ruled against voting rights groups that were suing to put almost 200,000 Georgia voters back on the rolls that had been purged. The judge, Stephen C. Jones, who was appointed by President Obama, denied the suit, saying that the voters had more than a year to register after they were removed from the rolls. Legendary playwright August Wilson has been honored with the 44th Black Heritage Stamp. Meanwhile, Metro has approved the preliminary budget and will have Maryland, D.C., and Virginia residents offer public comments next month. Hopefully, there's not another rate increase. And in sports, the Washington football team has won again. It's great to be able to say that, but the 3 times in a row means they're top of the NFC East by beating the San Francisco 49ers 23-15. For Win TV, I'm Hamil Harris.
Thank you, Hamil, and interesting news. And so we, again, if you want to get more news like this, of course, you can subscribe at WashingtonInformer.com. We'll send you an email newsletter every time that you subscribe. And thanks for joining us. And Polly, I don't want to keep you like on the screen while I'm giving a commercial. So I
Oh,
was
that's
just
all
going
right.
to, yeah, we get it right, and sometimes we get it almost right. So
Right.
thank you for joining us today. For those who don't know, Polly Donaldson is the director of the Department of Housing and Community Development, and we want to talk today a lot more about what's happening with our housing in the DC area, and just how the local government is really trying to not just put a Band-Aid on an issue, but to try to make life easier for our residents who are in need. So how are things going over there?
Well, things are great. First, can I just say, Denise, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone is so busy these days and all, but we've got to be able to get the word out. And I really appreciate that. I also want you to know, I really love the new look. I love it.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I thought I'd tell you, I had not, I've just seen it recently and I just think it's fabulous. So I'm a vote for, okay?
All right. Okay. That's at least we have one vote. Sherry
No,
can
of
take
course.
that back to the team.
Of course, of course. Well, let me just say, how are things going? We are in the midst of course, the worst economic crisis as well as a health crisis in our community. And we know that our job in the government and in the administration and under the leadership of Mayor Bowser is to ensure that we are not only providing relief, but we're building the stepping stones for recovery from this. And we know there will be recovery. And we think the vaccine, as you said so eloquently, really is a sign of hope at this time. But that in the meanwhile, we've got to make sure that our residents stay stably housed, that we don't increase the number of homeless, that we also, though, ensure that our housing providers are able to continue to provide both the affordable housing for those that do affordable, but also just our housing stock. We need to ensure that we can keep the housing that we have in the district. And so there are several ways that we're doing this with both rent assistance programs, but we're also collecting the data to see what the need is and to be able to make the case both locally and to the federal government, which I have been a part of federal advocacy efforts on the latest stimulus bill, because we know we're going to need more help. We know that we're going to need that. And they're in the middle of discussions right now on Capitol Hill, and we have made our voices heard there from the district as part of what really is a national need at this point.
I know that we had the Deputy Mayor John Falchicchio on last week, and we talked a little bit about data. If you've been able to sort of assess how great the need is, and it seems as though you all have done some research. So could you share some of that with us?
Sure. We've been doing, actually since June, we've done several surveys. DHCD has led in surveying housing providers specifically, because we wanted to have some of that data to be able to make the case, but also to be able to help those most in need and to shape and tailor our programs to do that. And so the latest survey we did was in November to the portfolio of housing providers. That was sent to over 12,000 unique email addresses. We really cast the net wide. About 4,600 recipients opened the survey, and about 770 completed the entire survey. And so here are some of the initial findings from that. And a full report will be ready later in this month. But I can tell you that actually, and there's some good news in this, but it does also point to where the problems are going to be coming both in the future. I can tell you 56% of the respondents had not yet felt a significant impact on their business from the eviction moratorium, but 1/4, 25%, felt it made their business much worse. So there clearly is some pain that is going on there in that way as well. Those that have mortgages on their properties, which is a great concern, because if you're not getting rents, it's going to be hard as a housing provider to pay your mortgage. About 1/3 said that they're having difficulty with paying that mortgage and paying that mortgage in October, particularly. Despite all of our efforts to promote the emergency rent assistance that we have, both with the programs that the Department of Human Services runs, the ERAP program, as well as the programs that DHCD has stepped up to address COVID rent assistance, COVID relief, it actually turned out that really most of our housing providers were not even aware that there were rent assistance programs, and that was more than half. And then more than half, they were, though, aware of the one that the Department of Human Services runs, And that really is that's where the Department of the Emergency Rent Assistance Program. So we do know that, and they made it very clear, rent assistance for tenants affected by COVID is the number one solution and policy proposal proposed by housing providers. And it's keeping with the same thing that the affordable housing provider said in an earlier survey. So we know we need more rent assistance. And so I'm prepared to walk you through all of what we're doing, including the housing stabilization grants and our rent assistance programs, primarily the coronavirus housing assistance program known as CHAP. And that will be, that's for tenants now, and starting in January will be for both tenants and landlords. So that's a brief overview, and I can go deep, however deep you'd like to go.
Well, I think, first of all, I would like for you to point people in a direction to get the information that I know we won't have enough time to cover today. But where should people go to get more information about the programs that
the best source for information on all the programs is the coronavirus.dc.gov/rent. You have it up on your screen now. That is the source for all of our rent assistance programs. And it also has links to the community-based organizations who are administering those programs on our behalf. Obviously, you can always call DHCD. That's at 202-442-7200. Always be able to call there or check our website, tweet us, Facebook us. We respond. We are geared up 100% on telework, but 100% there every day from 8:15 till 5, and we're working for the residents and we'll respond. We also can give you information on the community-based organizations on that website with the Greater Washington Urban League, Housing Counseling Services, and the United Planning Organization. Those are our three implementers of our rent assistance programs. And I can do phone numbers now on the air if you want, or we can make sure that we've got that. But it is all on the coronavirus.dc.gov/rent website. And you can get all that information there. Oh, thank you for posting that. That's terrific. Great way to. And that's great, because really that is where you can get all the information. I can walk you through some of the qualifications and eligibility, if that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I do think that I don't know about if there are a lot, but I think it is important for people to know if they qualify. Yeah,
sure. Well, for the CHAP program particularly, you do need to have a monthly income of a little less than $4,500 a month for a single person, or $6,600 a month for a family of 4. If you've been impacted by COVID, if you've been laid off or your hours reduced, etc., that you're eligible to apply. And your income it's based on what your income is right now, not what you were making, but what you're making now. And that's why it's important to apply now, so that we can, so that you don't wait until you're called back to work, because then your income obviously will be higher. And so it's really important to apply now. The website has the list of documents, bank statements, some income and wage documentation. You must show your lease as well, including the amount of rent, and of course, how much of your rent is past due or in arrears. And then you can then call or email one of the three organizations I mentioned, the Greater Washington Urban League, Housing Counseling Services, or the United Planning Organization, and they will accept your application and walk you through the process for the documentation. So I think that really is the best way to do it.
Quick question, Polly. With these programs existing, which are supposed to help tenants and also landlords, but there's some landlords that just may not cooperate. How do you address that issue?
Well, fortunately, we do have in place right now an eviction moratorium. So, and even though, yes, there was a court ruling earlier this week that talked about the noticing for eviction, that is now allowed and authorized, but nobody can actually be evicted. And the impact will be greatest on those pre-COVID who were already facing eviction. However, it is only really a court process. It is being appealed. And we actually think that we know that the actual eviction moratorium, which is in effect until December 31st, although the council, as I think Deputy Mayor Falchicchio talked about last week, the council of the district did authorize the mayor to extend the public health emergency, and with that would be the eviction moratorium. And I know that that's something that's being discussed, but the mayor is thinking about right now in terms of taking that action. So if that, and in that case, we know that the rent assistance programs we have will be critically important to help during that public health emergency. We know that. They have been a little, I wouldn't say they're undersubscribed at this point, but I am surprised that there has not been quite as much rush to the resources. We've done about 1.5 million in the tenant-based rent assistance. CHAP at this point, we've had about 340 applications approved. We've had about 1,500 received, so we're going through the process on that, and about a little under $1 million has been awarded. But we have an additional 8 million that is still to be dispersed. So there are funds available. And again, I just want to encourage listeners and viewers today to please look at the coronavirus.dc.gov website and please make an application.
Let me add the final question I want to ask, though, is that when you talk about not necessarily being undersubscribed, but folks having not reached out to the degree that of the need, mm-hmm. Are there any that you all have discovered any barriers, some things that do disqualify folks that you think might, even if they had a conversation, might allow them to qualify, but they're not calling because of whatever? What are some of those things?
I think at first there were some technology concerns for folks that may not have access to, because the initial applications were being received online. And so in addition to that, though, yes, please call the CBOs as well. If you are not able to access via the internet, that's what you need to do. I do know that that's what the community-based organizations are there for. That's what DHCD is there for. So please call if you are not able to access online the information and resources and materials, and we will provide that assistance. For those who have landlords who are not being cooperative or communicative on this, I do want to say tenants, of course, have rights in the district, and that they should be encouraged also to contact the Office of the Tenant Advocate. And that phone number is 202-719-6560. They fight for the rights of tenants and are making sure that no one is getting evicted. If you have someone who, if you get a sense that is what is next on your landlord says, you have rights, and you especially have rights during this public health emergency. But again, I encourage you, reach out, call for help. That's what we're there for. That's what the community-based organizations are there for. And we have resources to help. And I just want to encourage everyone to access them.
Well, it was a lot of information, but I'm glad that you were here to share it with us. And we're going to keep trying to get this message out, because we don't want to have to write any stories about folks, who've been evicted, and when there was help that they could have received. So
exactly, and know that we believe more resources are coming. I have great hope that the Congress is actually going to take the big step this weekend and pass another stimulus bill that will have some additional assistance in the housing area, and that's what we really just absolutely need from the federal government in terms of that kind of support. So I look forward to perhaps coming back and telling you more about that assistance when we finally do see the bill that gets passed.
Well, our doors open, or our whatever you call it, but you're welcome. You're welcome to come back. I look forward to that. Have a great holiday.
Thank you. You too.
And
Thank you.
Just stay safe. Thank
yes,
you.
Ma'am. You too. Thank you.
All righty. Okie doke. Yeah. So as I said, even if you don't need it, but you know someone else who needs help, or you think you know someone, it wouldn't even hurt just to go to the website, run off something on some old time paper, and circulate it in your neighborhood, because we do not want to see any individual or families, and particularly our seniors, evicted. Not that it's going to happen anytime soon, but the moratorium is going to lift, and folks will be affected. And if we can do something, as our council member over here in Ward 8 says, if we can do something, say something, and say something that will be helpful to your neighbor. With that, speaking of, I'm excited to bring on Kim Perry. And Kim is with the DC Action for Children, a nonprofit organization that uses data to help us help our children reach their full potential. Kim, as I said, is the executive director, and we are very, very excited that she is here with us today to talk about not only the new report that will be released today regarding the status of children in the District of Columbia, but just a little bit more of what's been happening, particularly, I mean, Kim, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thanks, Denise. I'm so glad that you had us on. Thank you so much.
Sure. I mean, everybody is, I mean, for the most part, when we think about Christmas and we think about toys and trying to make children smile, that's for a day. You all focus on children's lives 365 days of the year. Tell us what, one, a little bit more about DC Action for Kids, and then what you all have been working on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, we're just pleased to be able to talk with you today and to get this message out to your viewers and your readers and the whole Washington Informer family. So DC Action for Children is a 27-year-old advocacy organization. We're a nonprofit, we are nonpartisan, but we look out for kids' issues and what's impacting our young children from really early childhood to early adulthood. We merged earlier this year with the DC Alliance of Youth Advocates, and together we are able to create a more stronger and independent voice for our young people. And Denise, this is no surprise to you because I know you've followed DC Action for such a long time, and we appreciate that. Together, we all believe that our young people really can accomplish anything if they're given a fair chance. But the fact is, we know that so much really does stand in their way, and particularly those who are affected by poverty, which of course is the result of a long legacy of systemic racism in this country. So we believe that these are powerful injustices and they really have to be met with an equally powerful response. DC Action is also the home of DC Kids Count, part of the Annie E. Casey national network of Kids Count. And Kids Count tracks the well-being of the district's children and youth and our kids all across the country. So in the entire Kids Count database, there are thousands of indicators of child and youth well-being. One of the reports that came out earlier this week really was looking at how our kids are faring in the time of COVID. And I'm happy that you had Polly on earlier. Ms. Donaldson, we all know, does her very best to be an advocate for families in the District of Columbia. And I was relieved and happy to hear her talk about all the resources that are available for the district's families. And we're certainly going to have to get word out, because one of the findings in the Kids Count report this year is that 1 out of 5 district families are worried about paying their rent or making the next mortgage payment. So families are feeling the brunt of the pandemic. It has really stressed the district's families, and it has stretched families all across the district as well. So we have families who typically would be giving to a food pantry this time of year. Instead, they are in line at the food pantry for groceries.
It's clear because, children feel and experience, this stress as well.
Absolutely.
And particularly, like you said, during COVID, when they're home so much more now, and they are seeing what's going on in the environment, while at the same time, they're trying to do school.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess the report even talks about that, the impact that it's having on education, health. Keep going. I just wanted to add that part.
No, you're absolutely right. So really, the pandemic has just exploited and further exacerbated all the inequities we knew existed beforehand. So much of what this report tells us is that the problems are not only exacerbated, but it also reminds us to go back and look at what the conditions for kids were even prior to the pandemic. So I do want to mention a little bit of that. In our local DC Kids Count, we publish pre-pandemic data, and we realized that even at a time when the district's prosperity was greater, post the earlier post 2008, for example, when we had that recession, the district was able to come back even stronger, but Black and brown residents still were earning less money and didn't have equal access to medical care, childcare, and education, which of course we are seeing play out now in the midst of the pandemic. I also think it's worth noting our Black youth are over-policed at a higher risk, at a higher rate than our white kids, and our Black kids are at higher risk for suicide than white youth. A couple other things I want to note, because this always comes out in the conversation about education, is that folks will say pre-pandemic, the district was doing much better in education. If you take reading, for example, that everybody is reading at much higher rates. Well, if you pull back the curtain and look a little deeper, as we've done by disaggregating data by race, we find that while white students are reading at 76% proficiency, which is great, our Black students, on the other hand, are only reading at 24%, and our Latinx students at 29%. So that gap is widening. I mean, we're talking about more than a 50% gap and difference, which is really troubling, right? And again, knowing that the pandemic is only exacerbating that even more. So we really believe, Denise, I just wanted to say, we really believe this data is a starting point for making sure that the city's leaders and lawmakers are able to prioritize public investment and public funding based on where the pain points really are for our kids and youth.
One of the things that used to frustrate me a lot, and like you said, I've been following this for a long time, and every year our National Children's Defense Fund would put out its report, and every year it always talked about how far behind our Black children are. And so what you're sharing, really a lot of it is discouraging, and not new. I think the challenge for us now, because so many people have stepped up for various reasons, is solutions. What do we do? We know that government has played its role, clearly not enough, and nonprofit organizations are playing their role to some degree, maybe having some success. But what are you all thinking that more people need to do to improve the quality of life for our children?
Yeah, there's two things we've got to pay attention to, actually three. One is the data. So the data we're presenting via our Kids Count reports, it's telling us where the pain points are. I'm not sure we're listening, right? It also means that the solutions have to lie in things like early education. Denise, we know that this equity starts at birth. We can't deploy solutions during school age or just later. We need to be able to start as early as possible. The one thing I do want to mention as we talk about our early education system, it too is really fragile right now. We just released a report earlier today, the results of a survey that we put out to our childcare programs across the city. And what we're learning is that our childcare system, our early care and education system, is on the verge of collapse if we don't have some serious, significant resources to help provide relief. Childcare programs expenses are rising because they are putting into practice COVID-safe conditions for kids who are in their care and who are learning. But their income has gone down because fewer families are sending their kids back. So we have got to provide some financial support in an expedient way to ensure we don't lose the childcare system. Workers desperately need to get back to work when there is a vaccine, and to make sure our kids don't experience even more learning loss than they have since the pandemic started.
Well, I mean, this is there's no magic wand, I'll say, and we wish there was, but we are going to continue to look at this and see what we can do to galvanize communities around the data that you have provided. I think it's fantastic that you were able to join us today when you released a report earlier today, so quite timely for you to do that. And we know that if we don't take care of our children today, it will definitely impact our communities tomorrow. And so, Kim, thank you so much for being with us and for carrying, waving the flag and sending up the warning signs that we need to do something now. And feel free to come back. And as we look at what happens in the transition when we become post-pandemic and what's going to happen. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you so much, Denise. And I encourage everyone to visit dcactionforchildren.org. You can find both the National Kids Count Report, our DC Kids Count Report, and the Child Care Survey that was released today. And please call your local DC council members and let them know that the child care system needs funding right away. If it's going to be there, be intact, and be sustainable for when workers are ready to go back to work.
Wonderful. Thanks for that. Okay, Kim. Wow. So, I mean, it's the holidays, and just know that even if we can take that moment, like I said, to celebrate our children and to make them happy and what have you, it's good. Sherry, I lost something here. Oh, here we go. So, sorry about that. But, in the long term, I think we still have a lot of work to do to move forward and to help our children. And speaking of children, I'm excited to bring on a friend and a hardworking woman, particularly in the Ward 8 community, Wanda Lockridge. I'm going to see a little video really quickly and then talk about dating with scholars. Mm-hmm. It was. Hey there, Wanda Lockridge. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you today?
Doing fantastic, and so glad that you could be with us today to talk about the William O. Lockridge Foundation, Community Foundation, and also what the community has to look forward to, looking at those young dancers and the senior dancers as well, with Dancing with the Scholars. Tell us about the Community Foundation first and the honor that you continue to give to your late husband.
Thank you so much. Well, first, let me just thank you for inviting me. This is my first time on WIN TV. I'm pretty excited to be here today. So thank you so much. A little bit about the foundation. We started the foundation in 2011 when my late husband passed, William Lockridge, who served on the State Board of Education for about 16 years. And I think in 2011, we really just wanted to do something. We didn't want to do flowers or anything. We wanted to do something that was concrete that would be able to stand. So we asked people to donate dollars instead of flowers for the funeral. And we wound up with 4 $1,000 scholarships to Baloo Senior High School.
Fantastic.
And so we wanted to just continue that.
I know. William was a strong advocate, and it's interesting to segue from from Kim Perry to talking about your husband, your late husband, who just recognized the inequities in education for young people, particularly those east of the river. And so it's really sort of a way of continuing his work to make sure, because you talked about it, how he had helped so many young people personally before he passed. Certain things he did, just out of, the pocket of the Lockridge household, to help these young people. I mean, maybe you can share a story with us.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to share the story. Actually, the principal at Ballou Senior High School right now, Dr. Jackson, he told this story, so I'm happy to share with him. He was a student of Williams when he was at Ballou Senior High School, and he said he would just hang out on the corners, and William would say, "Man, this is not what you want to do with your life. You want to come in, you're going to do classes." He said this was the reason he went to college was because of William. He said he went to his prom because William actually went in his pocket and purchased him shoes and a suit to go to his prom. So this is just one of the stories I hear often, even today, from some of the students that he taught at Ballou Senior High School and other schools. That's what he did. He did it, on a regular basis.
So now you've come up with Dancing with the Scholars, which is really a fun event. And talk about what goes into that. I mean, what people need to know that we've got, young people and politicians judging and dancing. And how'd you come up with that concept?
Actually, we were sitting around, we came up with a board because people said, okay, if you're going to do scholarships, let's continue to do this. And we was trying to figure out a way to raise money. And oftentimes people raise money through dinners or luncheon. And we just figured that all your money go to food when you do that. So we wanted to make sure that our money went actually to the programs. And we sat around and we thought Dancing with the Stars at that time was really popular. And we said, let's do something fun, something like that. And we were trying to figure out what that S was going to be. And it was actually Emily Washington, who also taught at Ballou Senior High School, that came up with the word scholars. And it just rang a bell, and we've been doing it this is our 10th year now. So that's how we came up with it. It's really a fun time to have. So I think you may remember some of those times.
Oh, I do. I've attended many and had a chance to boogie across the stage on one. It's a lot of work. I'm going to tell you, a lot of work goes into producing this program. But who's going to be participating? And first of all, when will Dancing with the Scholars take place?
Thank you for asking that. It's actually this Sunday. It's at 3:00. So December the 20th at 3:00 is virtual. And so you can go and register at, I think it's listed here at DWTS10@eventsbright.com. Yeah, it's on the screen there. So, yeah, please feel free to come. We welcome everyone. It is a fun time this year for our judges. We have returning judges this year, Councilmember Trayon White from 8. We have Councilmember Vincent Gray from Ward 7, and we have the chairman. And they feed off of each other's comments about the dance routines that they see from students this year from Ballou Senior High School, Anacostia, and Friendship Prep here in Ward 8.
Wonderful. And it takes a lot of time. How were you able to make this happen during COVID?
Yeah, thank you for that. We actually didn't think we were going to do it this year because of COVID. It hit in March, and that's the time that we really started planning. And at one point we were thinking that we just wasn't going to do it. And then we decided that we needed to pivot. We needed to make sure that we offered dollars for our students next year. And we had to continue to fundraise. So we have a team of volunteers. I'm so grateful for them. Cannot do this without them. We have a PR committee, we have an events committee, and they just jumped in and said, let's do it. And so we pivot to the virtual platform like so many others.
And it's not only scholarships. I mean, because you have taken some of these young people on distant trips for just experiences. Can you talk about just maybe one or two students or where you've taken them on as a result of this program? Sure.
In 2014, I believe we decided that it was important to show students and our scholars that there were opportunities outside of the classroom and that you can learn by on hands. So we started an International Ambassadors Program The first year we went to Cameroon, we took 3 students. The year of the return in Ghana, we took an additional 3 students. This year we were going to go back to Ghana in July. Well, we know that COVID decided that that wasn't going to happen. And so a couple of our students, and I'll talk about one of the students in the first cohort, and she's just really been an amazing student. She's in her 2nd year now in college, and she stayed in contact with us. We stay in contact with her. We also think that it's extremely important that when we give scholarships that we are following our students to make sure that they can finish college. You can get there, but you need to finish as well. So not only do we follow them, if they have some financial challenges, we also offer up to $500 a year for emergency assistance. And so we want to make sure that our students stay in school. Some come back. This has been a challenging year for many because especially our seniors who really want to finish college on campus or at least at school. But some of them having to do it virtual. So it's been difficult for them, but we are being as supportive as we possibly can to them as well.
Well, it's I praise you and the William O. Lockridge Foundation, Community Foundation Board for continuing to do this program. It's just such an opportunity for young people, particularly on this side of the river. And so I'm hoping that folks will tune in on Sunday at 3 o'clock. And they need to register?
They need to register. So it's Dancing with the Scholars. So it's dwtsx.eventbrite.com.
Okay.
If you seem to forget that, just go to our website at William Lockridge Community Foundation. You can Google us. You can certainly find us. If you believe in our scholars and you really want to support it, it was a ticketed event. It is a free event now. However, it is more important now that we make sure that our students have the kinds of dollars that they need to finish their careers in college. And so if you'd like to make a contribution, feel free to. And I think it's on the bottom of your screen. To make it convenient for you, we have Cash App and PayPal. And you can certainly make donations there. We really would appreciate it, and so will our scholars.
Wanda Lockridge, thank you so much for being with us. I will be watching on Sunday.
Well, great, thank
you. Let's just dance the night away with all these young people.
Let's do it. Thank you so much, Denise, for having me. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you. Same to you. Oh, I was gonna show my earrings, but I think I'll wait and show these to Santa if he joins us. I dressed up for Santa today, and because I heard he might be here. But anyway. So I'm hoping that you all will consider joining, watching Dancing with the Scholars. I keep losing my screen, and supporting the program because it makes so much of a difference to the young people in our community. In addition to that, I'm telling you, we have a lot packed in here today, and I mean, what would the holiday be like without great desserts? I mean, Thanksgiving is all the other food and dessert is fine, but the Christmas holiday is like full of desserts. And so I'm so excited to have Lesa Woods, Sandy Burns, and Deborah Johnson. We're going to take a photo, look at the photo gallery of what Lesa Woods, the owner of Sweet Crumbsnatchers Bakery, has been working on. I mean, if that wasn't mouth-watering, I don't know what is. That just looked fantastic. And I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, I'm not a dessert eater. I don't really eat sweets. But, something could convince me. Just those pictures convinced me I'd have to taste that. That it was just fantastic. And so we had Lesa Woods. We're going to take a look at what Sandy Barnes and Deborah Johnson have put together as well from Sugarcane Confections Company. Wow, ladies, this is fantastic. I'm drooling over here. I need a napkin to wipe my mouth. Those desserts are beautiful. Lisa, I'm going to start. Welcome to the show, all of you all.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Lisa, tell me, how did you get into this baking business?
Oh my goodness, Denise. I started when I was a little girl. It was all about that easy bake oven and being in the kitchen with my mom. Um, and I just come from a whole generation of great bakers. And so it kind of sort of just, it just fell upon me. And so lately I found with everything going on, it's been my greatest joy. And it puts me in the best mood and I'm just in a fantastic zone when I'm baking. I just love it.
Well,
Baking people happy is what I say.
and Deborah and Sandy, what got you all in the oven?
Well, I'm a retired cake decorator of 32 years, and my cousin is a wonderful home baker as well. And we decided to collaborate together and make a wonderful business of wonderful sweets.
So, I mean, first of all, have you all been impacted by COVID since your business started? How is this? Have you had to? The word in 2021 and 2020 is pivot. How have you all had to pivot? And I'll start with you, Deborah and Sandy.
Absolutely. Pre-COVID, business was steady. And during COVID, it has still remained steady. But I would believe that it would be brisk. We were not presented with this pandemic. We've had to be very innovative in our approach because we started off with just baking cakes. That has evolved. We had to change how we presented our desserts, going from whole cakes, in which we still make, but we do more individualized desserts. We do desserts in a jar. We do pop-ups. All of those things, and people seem to be very receptive to that and appreciative, quite frankly, in the days of COVID.
All homemade desserts, apple cobbler, banana pudding, peach cobbler, strawberry shortcake. Everything's individualized, so people can feel safer knowing they're not getting from one big pool that they're joining from.
All right, and Lisa, how about you?
Well, yeah, same here. Everything is baked from scratch and baked per order. And what it's done for me is since I deliver items, with COVID, it's been doing pretty well when people learn that I can deliver it to them because a lot of people, aren't leaving the home and so forth. And so I started delivering. And so that's what's helped. But it kind of varies day by day and week by week, of course.
So the photos that I saw were quite exquisite. I mean, if I were to call up either any of you all and say I need a cake, I would never ever have thought about some of the designs that you all come up with. And so how does that happen? If someone says, okay, it's my mom or my dad's birthday or a coworker's birthday, and I need a cake, what's the next step? And Deborah?
We like to find out the interest of every customer. We want to know, well, what's your favorite color? Extracurricular activities, anything we can do to tie into the theme of the cake to make the person happy. Most customers give us the latitude to, they just tell us this is the flavor we want and this is the color. You do the rest. And we collaborate often and think of what we can do to take the cake to the next level. And oftentimes what the customer gets, they're not even anticipating because we have an idea in mind as to what we're going to do. That's why we ask for a few days turnaround time for the order because we're constantly looking for something that's different from the other cakes that we created.
So from what I can see, different. What you all do is is beyond different. I mean, it's all of you. It seems like it's over the top. It's just fantastic. And Sandy, you were getting ready to say something?
I was just saying that each one is just individualized. It's rare if you see two of our cakes that look the same. Just the theme and the color and the activities, everything draws into the end result.
Wow. So, what are you all? What will folks be able to do for the holidays? How will they be able to order cakes from you, Lesa?
Well, for me, they can go to my website, sweetcrumbsnatchers.com, and they can place their orders. Right now, if they place their orders by 5 p.m. daily, the turnaround time is the next day. Or if they want it, later, I can do that as well. For now, for Christmas Eve deliveries, this weekend is going to be my cutoff for Christmas Eve deliveries. Yeah.
And Sandy and Deborah?
Likewise, if customers want a cake by Christmas or Christmas Eve, the cutoff is going to be this Sunday, the 21st. If the customers want a cake for New Year's, the cutoff is going to be December 26th.
So I'm going to ask you a question before we close that a mother someone should never ask a mother, and I'm going to ask the bakers. What's your favorite cake?
Well, we have two of our favorites right here. We have our rum cake, which is a big hit, and our all-time favorite, our strawberry shortcake. These are two of our favorites.
Fantastic. And
Okay,
Lesa?
I'm going to say it's going to be my 5-flavor pound cake.
That's very good.
5 flavors? What are the 5 flavors?
It depends on what 5 flavors that day. It could be coconut rum and et cetera, et cetera. Then oatmeal chocolate chip cookies are popular.
Now you're talking to me. I'm the cookie girl. I'm the cookie monster.
And the lemon cream cheese pound cake.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Folks that are viewing, if you haven't ordered a cake, I think you need to pick up the phone right now or go to their websites and see what you can get, because those cakes look fantastic and scrumptious, and it will make the holidays so much sweeter, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, for taking a few minutes with you. I wish your business much success. Keep baking those goodies. And I'm just glad to see that we're doing this, that we're bringing good homemade baked food back into our households and sharing it with our communities. You all win the prize.
And thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
All righty. All righty. Happy holidays. Boy, Sherry, that looked pretty good, didn't it? Wow. Okay. I have to try to figure that out. But you got to order by Sunday. That's the cutoff, folks. So, boy, we are wrapping it, coming around the corner. Ching, ching, ching. Just glad that we're now about to bring on Vivian Walker, who has the Black Santa Directory, and Dr. Jihan Woods from Find Black Santa. And why'd you stop the song, Sherry?
No, that's the introduction.
Oh, gosh, I was into it. Hey, ladies, how are you?
Hello. How are you?
Good. Oh, okay. So first I want to just say welcome to the show. And I understand that we might have a guest joining us.
I don't know. Hey, Santa.
Coco Santa, how are you?
He's muted.
Well, we won't find out unless you unmute yourself, Santa.
Uh-oh.
And try it again. Try it one more. Okay, there. Oh, there you go. There you go. Right there. Right there. Right there.
Yes.
Hello,
So good.
hello, everyone.
Hello. I know that you have been busy. I know Vivian and Dr. Woods has been busy trying to make sure that you could get here with us today. And so I want to thank all of you all for making this happen. Santa, I don't want to hold you too long because I know that you have deliveries to make. But I do want to ask Vivian and Jihan a little bit about what you all do. How you've been busy this holiday season. Vivian?
Well, let me just tell you, it's been very busy in listing all of the Black Santas that are available in our country, in the United States and abroad. And we thought that COVID was really going to really damper things, but it has been rolling. We have plenty of Black Santas that have virtual events. I don't want to steal your thunder. I know that Coco Santa has virtual events as well. So I would just say that even during the COVID pandemic, Black Santas have been just moving right along. So it really hasn't been putting a damper on anything. We've just been evolving.
I mean, go ahead, Dr. Woods.
Oh, no, I was going to just piggyback off of Vivian. So when I started the app in 2018, it really was just out of wanting to have a resource for families like mine who wanted a Black Santa during the holiday season. And it's been a really great year this year because we used the word pivot earlier in the segment, but Santas and businesses have had to pivot how we continue to have these experiences for our kids during the holidays. And so many of the businesses and Santas that are on the app have really stepped up their game and started having virtual events. It's amazing to see that so many families are still able to connect with Santa through virtual events, phone calls, etc.
Well, I'm so glad that you all were able to join us. I mean, is it too late so let me ask, how many Santas do you all have, Vivian, on your list?
You know what, it varies, but this year I would say we have approximately maybe about 50 Santas. Wouldn't you say that, Jihan, overall? But we have about 26 states listed this year.
Yeah, so that's just the Santas themselves, but there are many organizations, sororities, fraternities that will host Black Santas. So as far as like total events, there's probably hundreds, depending on the Santa that you select and what type of event that you want.
Yeah.
Well, Coco Santa may remember my dad, the late Dr. Calvin Rolark, every Christmas would don his Christmas outfit, and unfortunately he had the girth at the time, to make him look like chubby Santa, and he would work with some of the organizations out in Prince George's County, hand out toys, and children just loved it. What, Coco Santa, are you? Are they? Well, you can't hug them and let them whisper in your ear, but what are you hearing from the little ones across that you've had contact with?
Well, usually I'm expecting to get the request for video games or different toys that are hot these days. But this year, these kids have been really considerate and focused. A lot of them want things as simple as for this to be over as far as these restrictions and changes. So a lot of them want to just go outside, and they also are putting forth a lot of wish requests for health of people that they know that have been affected. So it's a lot of outward gifts this year. So these kids really understand what's going on. They understand how tough it can be, and we are all just making the most of it. And like someone predicted earlier, we're looking forward to the next season, but we're going to finish this season out really strong.
And how do children communicate with Santa? I know that traditionally we have events and Santa's there and they can come and see, but I mean, can they write letters? Are they sending emails, text messages? How are children communicating with Santa these days?
These kids are really tech savvy. They get younger and younger with their knowledge. So I've been getting emails. I've been getting Zoom. I've been
online through Facebook, Instagram, a lot of different digital platforms they are using. But some are still sending letters also. So I am still having plenty of time to read letters. So kids, if you haven't sent a letter yet, there is still time to get it to me.
Does Santa answer letters or not?
You know, I answer letters sometimes. I always read them, and I do what I can to provide as many wishes and requests from these letters.
Vivian and Jihan, I remember as a kid, when I was really little, but I still remember it. I remember one Christmas, my mother put some cookies. We need to get the bakers back, but get some of their cookies and put them on a plate by the Christmas tree. And I'd wake up in the morning and one would be half eaten. And I'm like, he came. I mean, that's what parents can do to make Christmas so special for young people. It's really exciting. And are there any Mrs. Santas?
Are there any, what was that?
Mrs. Santa.
Yes, I do have a Mrs. Claus. And we are
Mrs.
there.
Claus. Mrs. Claus. Does for your list, are they included as well, or elves or reindeers, or is it just Santa?
So there are. Go ahead.
Go ahead. It varies. There are plenty that definitely will say that, hey, we come as a package deal, the Mr. and Mrs. Santa event. I know there's plenty, there's a Christmas expo in Memphis, and they come out as a couple. And then you have some that they're just solo, just there to meet the man with the bag, but the most cases it's a solo event, but we have plenty all over the world. There are Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. Yeah. So you just have to go through the list and kind of see which one fits, what you're looking for.
Well, I am so glad. I don't know how, and I know we've got to go, but I don't know if sort of this year of Black Lives Matter and all the things that we've been dealing with has created a higher demand for Black Santas. I know we don't see them on regular television stations when they're talking about Santas. They don't always look like you and me. But has there been a greater demand because of that?
I think the demand keeps growing. It keeps growing. I think especially parents are becoming more and more intentional about Santa, and not just Santa, but other things, as well. For example, children's books, making sure that the books that we are reading, have Black protagonists in them. The artwork on the walls, etc. And so I think parents are really wanting to resist the status quo and really wanting to experience Santa differently in a way that represents them.
Mm-hmm.
Does Santa only work at Christmas?
Santa is busy year around. There's always a request coming in. And from what you were saying earlier, as far as having more representation as far as Black Santas, I think it's been a really good year in general for Black Santas because a lot of people are going virtual. So even if there isn't a Black Santa in your immediate community, there are so many online and virtual avenues to introduce your kids to a Santa of a darker hue. So I think this could be a really good jumping off point for upcoming years. And plus the benefit of being able to experience this from home instead of it was typically a busy traffic or long lines. It's really helped out the Black Santa community, I believe.
Well, speaking of busy, I either hear Rudolph in the background or Coco Santa. Somebody's trying to get your attention so that you can get back to work. You have toys to wrap and reindeers to feed, and I don't know what else you have to do to prepare for Christmas night. Is there anything particular your favorite thing to do?
Well, that is it, and I always have to measure out my cookies consumption, I rarely ever finish a complete plate because I have so many cookies to consume, but I love them all. I do have two favorites, though, but I love them all.
Awesome.
What are your
favorites?
So
my two favorite cookies, if anyone is curious, are store-bought and homemade.
All right. Well, that's good. That takes the edge off of a lot of people. They know that they can make Santa happy.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Ladies, I want to thank you all for joining us. I want people to know where they can find the Black Santa directory, as well as Find Black Santa. I think we're going to put something up, but tell us how folks can contact you.
So for Find Black Santa, I think the best way is via our Instagram, which you have on the screen, Find BLK Santa. If you want to reach myself or Santa, you can always email me at info@findblacksanta.com. I get so many requests from families looking specifically for different Santas and different events. So you can email me that way.
And you can email Vivian Walker at blacksantadirectory@gmail.com. And you can also look at the list of Santas at blacksantadirectory.com.
I am so glad that all of you all were able to join us today, especially you, Santa. You kind of leaving us now with a big smile, looking forward to who cares about shopping. I could just talk to Santa all night long. That'll be great. I'm trying to get my laugh together. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. I hope that you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And Santa, don't take your time. Take your time. I know you have to be socially distant and all that other kind of stuff, and wear your gloves. Well, you wear gloves all the time anyway, so yes, you're safe. All right. Have a great holiday, and we look forward to talking to you this time next year.
Wonderful. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having us.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Boy, that was great. That was really great. So I did. Do you all see my earrings? I'm trying to get ready for the holiday. I found these. Well, I'm not going to tell you, but it's, they were, anyway. I want everyone to have a really, really safe and enjoyable holiday. Take some time for yourself. Eat well. Rest well. Talk to family members, remember your loved ones, and celebrate. So there's so much more I guess I could say, but Chevy's already telling me it's time. It's time. We will be with you next Friday. Like I said, we have some exciting programming scheduled. We're going to talk about Kwanzaa. So until then, don't shop too much, and stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Hi.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
That was great, Chef.